Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Forsaken. I will be your humble god for these preceding evenings, but before we get to me, first let us get introduced, or reintroduced in this case, to our god killer. Please reintroduce yourself to everyone in the lovely audience here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Hamna. I use any and all pronouns, and today I will be your god killer, Omera Azad, who uses they/ray pronouns. And in my humble opinion, Omera has done nothing wrong, and will never do anything wrong, and has never ever actually done anything wrong. I rest my case, Chris.
And the evidence we'll see what goes on here, but for the most part, I will be your humble god for these preceding evenings, providing everything from the whisper of the winds to the judgment of the gods. With that in mind, a couple things before we start. As always, you have saw the content warnings at the beginning of this episode, just in case you missed those bad boys. This episode in particular contains fantasy violence, gore, blood, familial struggles, drug abuse, severe weather, romance, and references to sexual entanglements, monsters and monstrosities, depictions of experimentation, references to epidemics and diseases, trauma, imperialism, classism, depictions of war, and imprisonment. If none of these float your boat, there is a plethora of wonderful content out there for you to enjoy and to step back and take a moment. Also, you can type in the chat !cast if you want to follow me or the lovely God Killer here, as our socials are there for you to go to and follow. But with that in mind, are you ready to begin, Gotti?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. With that, we open up on you as the camera pans almost like a swirling motion around you until it focuses in on your eye. From what we can see at the moment, it is a dark area with only kind of a light purple being the color and the eminence of what this daylight is. Whispers go in your ears. There are so many, but none that you can make out until one jolts you awake as you open your eyes. Before I describe where you are at the moment, what are you feeling as the last thing you remember was stabbing Johanna through the chest?
Question for you. Do I still have my 4 strain?
You do have it, but you don't feel it here. You feel normal here, wherever here is.
The immediate sensation that jostles Omera's body as they wake up in this strange place is concern. Where is Azul? Are they okay? Did she make it out? These thoughts flood through Omera's mind as Ray looks around frantically, trying to find their friend.
With that, as you begin to sort of get up and take notion of what's going on, you find yourself looking at a twisted and warped landscape of a ruined castle that is similar to the one you were just at, Castle Dumont. But as you look outward towards kind of an open section that's kind of been punctured through, you see what looks like to be a combination of floating rocks and storms reflecting an explosive state, in terms of like if an explosion was kind of paused midway through. As you see, that's what's kind of emanating and swirling about here. What do you do in this instant?
Omera will push themselves off of the ground, and Ray will bring their hand to their hair, their long, wavy, messy hair at this point that has probably been undone, different botanicals that they normally wear in it kind of scattered about, so it looks more like they were rolling around in the grass than anything intentionally decorative. And they will pull out one of these botanicals. I think it is a long-stemmed flower of some kind. And Ray holds it almost like a security blanket of some kind. An item to keep their hands busy, keep some sort of channel, an outlet for the anxiety that they're feeling being in this unknown place. And Ray will walk towards that scene of explosion and try to figure out whether or not this is a moment suspended in time, or whether everything is being held here purposefully.
Gotcha. Nothing to roll here just yet, as you're not looking for anything specific. You're just kind of getting a sense of what's going on. And what you can see from this explosion, the way it's kind of cratered off, it is almost like an after image. It's whatever has happened, but rather it being in fire, crumbled, and sort of chaos everywhere, it seems to be in a perpetual sort of stasis, in which you can see some of the people that didn't make it out the room, their scorch marks are along the walls, and again, just whispers everywhere. But as you're kind of investigating and looking through, you hear something clatter. There's something you can't see, but the camera sees goes incredibly fast behind one of the nearby pillars, as you see a rock come down.
Is somebody here?
There's no answer at the moment. Just silence and whispers.
Is there anybody here? Is there any sign of life, any sign of people in this area?
From what you can tell, there shouldn't be. But then you see in places where there's dust, there are footprints. Humanoid in nature, so more, your standard kind of foot. As you see, they go in a particular direction upward.
Okay. And Omera, tightly gripping this flower in her hands, is going to follow these footsteps slowly and carefully, keeping all of Rare's senses peeled for any sign of movement, of life, of somebody here. And as I go through, can I understand what these whispers are saying? Is it in a language that I comprehend?
Comprehend is a strong word. It's a language you've heard of. Think of it more of a similar veneer to like Latin in a sense. It's kind of an old dead language. From just off the ear, it is that of the Etheria and kind of the first beings. So you can see it's kind of that kind of whisper. But to recognize what's going on here, I'm going to say for here, we're going to use a move. Recognize a god, as you are kind of following an individual that does have some sort of divine presence to it. So if you be so kind and roll 2d6s for me, when you want to recognize the signs or influence of a god of the cradle, roll 2d6 and add +1 for each instance. I will say, in their domain, you're not familiar with the gospel, and it wouldn't necessarily be bad if you didn't know. So you can just add +1 to this bad boy.
I got a 4.
Got a 4. The two telling the most common legends about them and nothing more. I think as you kind of go through, you begin to follow and you see that you get something that's in the rafters of this place, begins to notice, and then begins to almost skip as you begin to give chase to it. And as you're kind of running through chasing, the minute you get to sort of where the entrance is, before it continues running, you know where you are. You are in a place known as the Graveland. It is that place one goes to when they are between life and death. It is that almost thin like veil that covers the land of the living with the plains of the dead. And you are in it, deep within it.
From my understanding, our exalted pantheon does not have a god of death or of anything within that domain, correct?
They do not know.
Do I know of any of perhaps the old gods, or maybe even a fairy tale of some kind, of some beings that lord over death, or the more accurately, that space between life and death?
There's only one idea that you have in your head, but it is a concerning one at that. See, most gods in this version of the world don't want to have a god of death. That creates complications. They don't have that understanding, especially for mortals. They do it every day. So there isn't necessarily has been a god of death for either the old or new pantheon, but there is one being that did have that sort of control of death that caused a problem for everyone. You do know Oblivion spent much time in dealing in death and shadows.
Recognizing that Oblivion is the only being, the only magical, powerful anything that I can think of that would have any sort of control over a domain such as this, Omera begins to shiver. Not because it's cold, but because a dread is traveling down Rare's spine. And as they shiver, I think the same movement is echoed in the stem of the flower that they carry in their hands. And they stop on whatever path that they were going, following these footsteps, up towards probably the rafters, I assume. They stop. And they turn to look around above them, and Ray says, "I do not wish to die today."
As you do that, you see there is something almost like if it was kind of crawling along the wall. It's kind of there with their sort of hands spread out and legs kind of sticking to that wall. You see before you is covered in shadows. You can still see sort of the main figure of the body. As you see, they are kind of this sort of still built but lean, so very much like skinny but still built kind of figure. You can see they have a pair of almost feather-like wings that are still dripping, from which you can see on the floor as it slowly goes down, purple feathers. But the thing that you notice the most is their eyes, which are a combination of purple and blue. As you see, they kind of whisper to you, "You need to leave then. I don't know who you are, just leave me alone."
Is this the same voice that was whispering to me at the ruins?
It is. You can sort of hear it in the back of your mind and sort of remembering that sort of cadence. It's the same voice, more or less.
You said that you recognized me, or that I was familiar to you. I don't think that we've ever met.
We've never met. As you see, you have a feeling it's a bit more powerful than you, but for some reason it cowers a bit. As you see, it kind of moves farther away in direction, looking towards you. I can feel your thoughts and your pain as you see it goes towards a section of your chest that you too feel kind of like a numbing pain as well.
And I think Omera hadn't really noticed that pain until this moment, was too driven by adrenaline and worry to really pay their body and its aches any mind. But as this being, this person in front of them points it out, I think Omera's hand kind of runs over, and the like the tattoos on Rare hands and arms kind of like almost cower back, similar to that motion that this creature, this person, was making in front of them, cowering away as Omera moved their hand over their chest, over their heart. Who are you?
It doesn't matter. As you see, he begins to try to move away.
Are you hurt?
I feel your pain. You are hurt. And then, for some reason, now I am hurt. I don't know who I am. I remember my name, but I can't remember much else. And then you came, and I... feeling things that I haven't felt in a long time. The taste of air and touch of stone. It's all too much. I need you to leave.
And Omera nods. I'm sorry, I did not mean to encroach here. I didn't mean to be here. I don't want to die. I'm not ready yet. Do you know where...
You see, it's kind of slowly gets closer. Not enough for him to get into the light, but you see that they get just on that echelon between the darkness and light as they look at you. I do not control death. I just simply live in it.
That sounds like a terrible life.
Not as terrible as yours will be soon.
And Omera gets this confused expression on their face as they hear that. Why will mine be terrible? Did something happen to Azul? Do you know where he is?
You see that their hands begin to extend out of the darkness towards your face. You see that as it kind of comes out of the shadow, the sort of almost like from hand to elbow is dripping and what looks like to be kind of more like black ichor, almost like paint, as it kind of just drips off of their hands that are still humanoid in nature as they put on the side, and they go, they will try to break you. They cast you aside. Do not let them. This is your warning. If you don't want to die, we both must live. And you soon will be tested.
Omera flinched as this person brought their dripping hands near their face, but they didn't pull away completely, and so allowed for that contact to happen. I don't understand. Are we connected in some way?
I don't know. As they take their hands and put it over your eyes, as you see what looks like to be almost like this black paint goes over it, and soon you begin to... As you're being pulled back to the mortal world, is there any last-minute things you ask or say before you are pulled back into your corporeal body?
The last thing that Omera asks is about Azul. Where she is, how she is, whether or not this person has seen Azul. But I think those questions are echoed and lost as Omera is pulled back.
With that, as you look, it's standing up in its full height, a little bit shorter than yours, before you are coughing up blood. As you awake back in your body, the senses of pain begin to overflood you. as it is 10 times more worse than that dream-like state you were in as you feel it from head to toe. You are full of unhealed cuts and bruises from your battle with Johanna, and as you kind of try to move about, you notice that you are strapped to a table. Arms both strapped in, and head also strapped in. And you can see along maybe your upper torso towards your left side, there is a bunch of metal that is somehow protruded into your skin. That is just stuck there. Almost like if you took shrapnel to the chest, it is there stuck and glowing with almost like a purple energy about it.
Am I in pain?
Incredibly. You are at 4 strain, you're feeling it again. You're starting to feel everything. Especially that somebody around that sort of section where the shrapnel is, they seem to have tried to did a little bit of digging while you were sedated, and it just did not work. So it's a mess.
Omera is alarmed by the fact that they are strapped down, seemingly in a unknown location that they don't know how they got to, and feeling that pain. I think Omera first tried to get up, obviously being unable to do so because of all of the restraints, but even in that motion, in that movement, they strain their chest just a little bit and can feel almost like an extra sting of pain around the area of Rare Heart where this expedition, let's call it, was happening. And instinctually, honestly, just a protective reaction to everything that is going on, Omera's tattoos, I think, spike up. Noticeably, the ink on their tattoos, which was previously just black. It was just black ink depicting different plants, botanicals, flowers, stems, leaves, whatnot, now has little bits of red in some of the areas. Some of the ink seems to have replaced itself with a red color, but all of the parts of their tattoo, I think, shoot up and out of their body and create that protective thorny vine again, trying to break through the straps as they do so.
Fantastic. With that, you begin to sort of try to thrash about with these sort of magical tattoos of yours. But before it kind of gets to its full height, you feel what looks like to be a knife go right to your neck. As you feel it go right there before you're able to do anything else, and you hear a voice from behind you go, "I would kindly suggest that you put whatever you're about to do down before I slice your throat open."
Can I see who this person is, or are they out of my eye line?
You can see, you're kind of looking from their head is this way, your head is up. And what you see before you looks like to be, again, humanoid in nature, a little bit more a feature similar from what you've seen before, as their ears are a bit more animalistic in nature, more like a fox's a little bit, as they kind of come out with a little bit of brown fur, matching this sort of brown skin. They have sort of short cropped blue hair that's to the side, and you can see what looks like to be a tail of theirs that sort of waggles about from behind them with sort of the extra fur, more lion-like in nature, as they sort of are looking down at you. You do also notice that there is an individual that is kind of in front of you, a little bit farther out, that seems to be more, a little bit more elvish in nature, if you were going to describe it. You can see that they have their sort of ears that are more pointed to the side. You see that their eyes are completely bandaged altogether, as it would be, for somebody to have that, they shouldn't be able to have the coordination they have, but you can see they're moving about. Their hair is sort of braided in blue, that sort of same tail for behind them. And you can see that they are covered in blood from hands to their chest, as this looks like to be the person in front was doing most of the surgery, but not the person with the knife at your throat.
Where am I?
You are in the loving care of the Empire.
This doesn't feel very caring to me. What is going on?
Indeed. Well, the good doctor here, Professor Navarre, has been trying to expedite that little number out of your chest. As you see, they point at the stone that's embedded in your skin. You see they kind of speak up. I tried my best to get the stone out of their chest, but it seems it has intruded itself into the subject's skin, but is no longer viable enough for interest. Thank you, Professor.
I'm sorry, did you say doctor? I'm a doctor of sorts as well, a healer, and I can assure you this is not how we treat patients or people under our care. Please, if you just release me, I can... We can talk, we can figure out what it is that's going on and why you are poking around in my body without my permission.
You see the knife slowly comes off of your neck. I know all about you, Omera. I know all about you. I know about your brother, who is a senator. As you see, they kind of come around and you start to see a full visage of them. They're a little bit, maybe like 5'7", 5'6". You see, the strange thing is they hide most of their body with a poncho in a sense. Kind of similar to yours, but more of a brownish blue. And you see that the knife that they had in their hand was actually part of their arm. As you see, it retracts back into kind of just a normal arm to use for purposes. As you see, they slowly go around the corner. So I will be asking the questions here, and it will determine the verdict and the information I give to my superiors.
I'm sorry.
Are you okay with that?
I'm sorry. Verdict? You just said that I was in the care of a doctor. Am I in trouble for something? Is this this isn't exactly a jail.
Oh, believe me, this is not a jail. You are lucky that you are here and not already dead. You have good friends on the higher ups.
I don't understand.
It will become clear, but I will be asking the questions. As you see, he gets down.
Do I not have a right to know what it is that I'm on question for?
Well, yes, you do. You have been charged with a number of crimes, but for the ones that, if you're wondering, are the most severe, you killed a god, along with a regiment of, pulls out notepad, 30,000 soldiers strong of the Empire.
No, that wasn't me. That was Johanna. Johanna was killing everybody around. It was a massacre. It was brutal. It was cruel.
Nevertheless, are you an exalted? Are you part of any aspect? Did you get an okay from the Emperor themselves in order to enact that kind of justice, that will?
No, but surely they must understand, they must agree that what was happening was it was inexplicable. I'm sure that something was corrupting Johanna. Johanna cannot have been acting of her own right mind or will, and that is a danger to all of the exalted.
I see. You are in distress. It is understandable, but at the end of the day, you killed a god. No one has killed a god, especially a mortal being like yourself, so I am curious. How did you kill this god? Did you use magic? Did you conspire with one of the Empire's many enemies? Did you use a poison? You are so sure it's a poison, only you said yourself you are a healer, a witch. You would know about potions of poisonous kind, harmful kind.
It's heresy to suggest that a simple poison or a potion would be enough to fell an Archon. Surely you must know, as well as I do, that that is well beyond the capabilities of any healer. The doctor, and Omera tries to sort of like move to look towards Nava, but obviously can't, being strapped down. The doctor would understand that as well. No, I don't have the means.
I'm curious for you, and you can decide whether or not if you want to do this. Do you feel like you want to feel him out in this instance? You want to feel this individual out, or do you just want to kind of just make your case here? Do you want to do a little bit of insight, or you just want to keep pleading?
I think, rather than feeling out this person here, I think instead Omera wants to try and feel out the professor or the doctor who is in the room but is not really engaging in the conversation. I think Omera feels like Ray has a better chance at maybe connecting to like somebody in a similar field of work.
Hey, you're a doctor. I'm a doctor. We got PhDs.
You know, you understand. You know, I gotta.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'll let you choose the question here of which one you want to pick here. When you try to feel someone or something out, you kind of say, what you want clarity about, and you answer one, and I answer the other.
What I would like clarity about, if I can suss that out in this moment, is what the doctor's sort of feelings and reactions are about the situation. Like, do they seem particularly do they seem like they might be amenable to what Omera is saying, or is she kind of like, nope, I'm just here to do my job, I don't care about this, like what's kind of the vibe coming off of Nava as I am speaking to this other person?
Yeah, the vibe you're kind of getting off at the moment, you notice they are here out of obligation. You do notice where you are at suggests that this is kind of black site. This is very much off book. So when they're participating in this, they are also participating for this sense. So you get a sense of they're out of obligation for somebody that is higher up. But behind it, there is a scientific curiosity around the shards that are in your chest that they are very curious about. So it's a combination of obligation and curiosity. And you're not necessarily feeling any sort of pity at the moment. Right now, it is strictly academic mode, and I'm at my job.
I think then what feels unnerving when Omera kind of thinks about and tries to understand how Nava is feeling in this situation is that there is a lack of empathy or sympathy or compassion or any sort of softness in this room, and that perhaps it doesn't even just stop at Nava, but perhaps it extends out even further beyond her. And I think the thing that is unnerving for Omera is that there is no appeal to humanity or to emotion that is likely to work in this case, which for them, as somebody who feels like that is such a core foundational teaching of the gods, at least as they knew it, that for people who are claiming to represent the exalted and the pantheon, that would be something that they would be embodying in this moment, but they're not. And that is disturbing to Omera.
And I think in this instance, for the other question, what feels welcoming at this moment is that their curiosity means that at least you're not going to die here. You know that for sure. There's too much interest, there's too much intrigue, there's too many questions about you that are left unanswered. So you at least know he is bluffing when he says he's going to kill you. Because someone higher up doesn't want you dead yet, which is comfort, but also scary, because it's just like, what does that mean? But at least you won't die here.
Kind of calculating that in their mind, Omera can't turn their head, but theoretically turns their head towards Nava, at least turns their focus on Nava, and says, look, I don't know what it is that you're after here, and I don't know what it is that anybody is after here, but I can assure you that you will get more answers if I cooperate than if I don't. So please, unbind me, and I can help in some way, I'm sure. Whatever it is that the Empire seeks, though I'm not sure why they would seek it from me, I can help, I can offer.
You see Navarre kind of go, if we want answers to the questions they can provide, we need to do it somewhere that is not here. As the conditions are not suitable, neither is the security. They turn over to the other individual. I understand. You will be released. But for the moment, we're going to keep you somewhere on ice, as they like to say. Somewhere where we can keep you close without anyone really looking into you. At the moment, the world thinks you are dead, one of the many who died heroically in a battle against enemies of the Empire.
I'm sorry, on ice? What do you mean?
Rest now. As you see Navarra begins to take something of a syringe and begin to sort of fill it up with something.
Hey, what are you talking about? I just said that we can answer more questions together than we can if you...
And we will. We will answer those questions, but in an environment that is conducive to those. As you see Navarra kind of comes in and begins to shoot you with an anesthetic. As you slowly begin to fade out here. As your eyes close. You don't know how long it has been, but your head feels a little bit groggy when you begin to wake up. As you are sort of getting up, you notice that you hear something now. You hear the sound of what looks like to be, or at least hear, of an ocean. And as you sort of wake up, you find yourself shackled and sort of in a built-in prison in a boat. It is no light here, it's just, various torches and lights that are kind of on at the moment. But as you sort of are hearing this, you hear rushing water, you're going at a fast pace, the sound of the engine beating it against the wave. But then, for almost a quick second, you hear what looks like to be something metallic on the other side. Large and low, pass by the ship. For it goes away.
Are there any portholes or any, even teeny tiny little holes that I can look through?
For fear factor, sure. As you kind of look, you see what looks like to be some sort of large metallic contraption that you can't see is under the water. Looks through the ship for a quick moment. As you see, it's almost like a light in a sense, goes on to a red mode as it kind of begins to look over the ship, scan it. And then after seeing whatever it looks for confirmation, switches back to a yellow and begins to go back down. Built almost similarly like some sort of large squid or octopus. As you see, it begins to go in the water.
Am I familiar with these? I don't know if creatures is appropriate since it's metallic. These things, this machine, am I familiar with it at all?
You know whispers of such things. I mean, the Empire has made mechanical wonders. But this one you don't know. Not at the moment. There's not enough context. It could be anything. Could be just another ship. Maybe some sort of weird-looking submarine that the Empire uses. Or it could be something divine in nature. You just don't know because you don't have a lot of context at the moment. And also, you don't get a lot of time to think about it. As the ship docks, you see that the light is kind of like a porthole. A light blue turns dark as you begin to go into a facility. And as you do, you see a couple of Imperial guards wearing their sort of green vestiges on them kind of go, all right, come on. And they begin to unlock the thing and take you by the chain here.
I think when Omera had woken up and had heard the sound of the ocean and rushing water and whatnot, they had assumed that they were being taken to Mali, right? They grew up in and are so familiar with the sound of water that Ray had just assumed that where we would be doing all of this is back home. And looking around when Omera is asked to exit this ship, they don't recognize any of it as their hometown at all. Do I recognize it at all?
It is very unfamiliar. You know the ship at least is some sort of transport. You do know that the way it's built, the way it's kind of secured here. But sadly, from what you're thinking, if this is transport, you can see that as they're pulling you out here, whether it be against your will or you going willingly, there are other cells here with other prisoners. There's a prison transport.
And Omera will ask of the guards that are here, where are we?
We don't want to ruin the surprise. Now come on, better get you out of here. We gotta schedule the Cape.
And Omera, I think, will kind of look around, trying to figure out where the heck they are, and just confused will do as I'm told and follow.
As you're kind of following up, go up, you do notice for a split second, you're now able to talk with him. You do see William is here. The sort of scout that you were with before, somehow alive, still made it, but he's kind of behind at the moment. But you do notice you're not the only one here. And as you see William, you're like, well, who else? You can see there are a few bits and baubles of mostly rebels that somehow survived your little battle there. So not everyone died, so that's something you can keep in the back of your head. But as you're sort of pushed out towards the interior, you kind of wince a bit as you see sunlight for the last time before the ship pulls in. What you see before you is a cold stone interior. You see the place that you're at is a dock of some sort, where there are other transport ships. You're not the only one, maybe 3 at the moment. Can be housed for much more, but all of it is built in the side of this large cavernous rock. It is huge and unquantifiable, and you notice that on the other side, from what you're getting in a sense of air and temperature, you are somewhere that is more tropic rather than Mali, which is a little bit more temperate. So you know that you're far from home. Wherever it is, you're somewhere along the seas or where the ocean is. As you're kind of getting that and smell the salt off of the ocean. And as you're sort of pushed through, you go up, taken to an elevator with everybody else, and are thrust into the interior of a cold room that is devoid of any natural light. You don't have any of your belongings, as your even clothes has been switched out for almost like, very much like sort of the shirtless kind of peasant cloth, if you kind of describe it, something that's very low maintenance, something they could switch out. Even a sense of stitched up, as you can tell that maybe somebody else was wearing this, and they had a poor fate, and they kind of stitched it up and threw it on you. So you don't have any of your materials with you. With that, you are stood in a hovel with a bunch of prisoners. And soon you see something kind of on the upper rampart, almost like if a leader was giving a speech kind of area. As you see an individual begin to not walk, but float their way down from behind you. They have that elegant grace about them of a god, as you see their large, almost brass-colored like wings provide them sort of a glide down. They wear what looks like to be sort of black and gold clothes that is a mixture of something eloquent but also tactical in nature. They have a piercing on their lower lip, but their facial features are some of the things that you kind of are picking up on here. Their tattoos kind of come off to the side, almost like similar to you with your kind of thorns and roses, more jagged spikes coming out, blue in nature, have mutton chops, and their nose is more animalistic in nature rather than humanoid, so it's a little bit more of like maybe a cow or kind of an animal, a little bit more pressed against their face with their black curly hair. You see they approach, their wings begin to fold in. Well, it looks like we have a new set of prisoners here. Allow me to introduce myself. I am the warden of this prison, and with that, I will be your new god for those of us who still pray. My name is Bast. If the name doesn't click for you, I am a child of Mycin, the lawgiver. As you see, he kind of points towards a painting of Mycin, very much stoic in that nature, looking down. And you have now found yourself in the impregnable Scarlet Bay. The name clicks for you, Omera. It is something you have heard in various salons and parties where gossip is trade. Scarlet Bay is one of the Empire's most secretive prisons. It is a place where if you go, they're not coming back. And they're usually kept for the Empire's most dangerous or more well-kept secrets that they don't want going out into the world. Concern is filling your mind, but as you're kind of thinking on it, the conversation continues. As you can see, you have been sentenced here by the will of the Empire, and with that, you will serve your sentence, rather than being put to death. To be specific, you will be mostly doing hard labor, and mining for this we are looking for, called Crimson. You see, it's sort of this red stone they pull out. These little bad boys are superheaters, needed for the Empire's booming industry. So, with that, you will be catalogued into the system. You will be asked your questions about your skills and talents that can be used for the Bay, and then later be assigned for those who are deemed worthy to do more than gem breakers. Also, for those of you who have that rebel spirit in you, I would advise against trying to escape the Bay. It is an endless cavern, above and below, filled with guards to the brim, and there is also the lovely little creature out there known as Vortex, that will await to send you to the abyssal grave that lies out there. You can ask any of the prisoners about the fools and the failures that try to escape the Emperor's justice. Any questions from the audience while you still have my beloved face to ask them?
And I think Omera, raises a hand timidly and slowly. Not really sure if they should, but they do anyway. I'm sorry, you said prison. I've heard tales of Scarlet Bay, but I'm not sure about everybody else here, but I was not given a trial of any kind. How can I be imprisoned?
You see they fly down towards you. I am an aspect of justice. Do you believe me to be conducting my business in a way that goes against the very core being of my nature, my power, in a sense? Do you think me false?
I would never dare blaspheme in that way, but I think there is something that is perhaps spreading. I'm not sure, but there is something corrupting at least a god, if not multiple. So perhaps just something is wrong.
You see they put a hand on your shoulder. I see. Do you believe there is a corrupting force inside of you?
Not me, no. I meant the gods. Johanna, I don't know if you heard, but...
Before you're able to continue, there is a swift punch into your gut that feels abnormally painful as you are brought to your knee. I am a religious man, and as I said before, for those of you that believed in Johanna or any of the other gods, forget them, because in this place, I am your god. So if you want to pray to someone, you pray to me, and if you are going to be heretical, as you see he gets close to your face, you will answer to me. And let it be known, I am more zealous than my father.
And I think Omera just stays on their knees on the ground and just looks at Bast completely bewildered. Because if he truly is the child of Mycen, of an Archon, then surely he must... Ray would have expected better, different, noble, and none of this makes any sense, and I think they just are increasingly just confused. And so they don't say anything. And they allow Bast to move forward and continue on with their tirade as they are.
Fantastic. You're doing as you're told here. So with that, when you do as you're told, you show submission. So for here, I think how you are rewarded, I think I'd answer that for just off the bat. You are rewarded by one, not going to get beat up after you're sort of following instructions, but you do notice that there is now a keen interest on you, which could be good or bad at the moment. You don't know, but you do know he takes note of, Miss Prisoner, this one has will. What leaves you with the other question?
The vulnerability that I reveal is that Omera clearly doesn't believe that what is happening to them at the very least, not really sure about everybody else here, but to them at the very least, is unjust. And that behind that sentiment, there is still a belief in the justice of the gods. That it's not that the gods are doing something wrong, it's that there is something wrong happening here that is uncharacteristic of them. And so it becomes very clear to anybody who's listening that this is somebody who still believes in the system and just thinks that there's been some kind of mistake.
With that, my pretty little lovelies, we will now be going to processing, so please get in line and you receive your numbers and occupations.
I think Omera waits for the line to form, and you said that William was a little bit further back from Omera when we were getting off of the ship and into this facility. And so Omera, I think, will wait until William kind of shows up and will get in line behind William. Like, will stand up, pick themselves up as William approaches. And as we're waiting in line and people are being processed and whatnot, Omera is just going to kind of like lean over and, trying to be nondescript, will whisper, "I'm glad you're okay. What is going on here?"
See William kind of beat up a little bit still. He goes, "Holy, how are you still alive? It's a miracle that it happened."
I don't know. I don't know how you're still alive either. Chana killed everybody.
So did you.
What? No, what are you talking about?
I don't know if you exactly remember what happened, but you kind of went supernova after you stabbed good old Johanna in the heart.
What do you mean supernova?
You killed 30,000 people. I don't know if you got that number exactly. You killed a lot of people. Luckily, I was able to escape via a portal that was opened by Azul. So, they got Azul and Titus out.
So she's okay?
Yeah, but it looks like we're not, and from what I see on the transport, it looks like they're not here.
So that means that they got out. He must be okay. That's good, at least. Is this usual? William, I'm not sure. You were a captain. You must understand some semblance of what these systems are like. Are we not supposed to speak for ourselves, make our cases?
I don't know if we're gonna be able to. I don't know what exactly you know of this place, but usually this is where the Empire sends people they don't want speaking about certain things. Maybe it's because some of us saw a certain someone kill a god. A mortal that can kill a god is not exactly something you want airing out to the Empire's public.
I don't think that I could do that again. That was just I don't know what that was, but look, I'm glad that you're okay.
Me too. It's nice to have a kind face in here.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way.
You hear, all right, next. All right, look, I'll meet you in there. Hopefully we'll get in the same block. Whatever you do, don't pick a fight.
Okay. Good luck.
And as you kind of see him go off to the side, you do notice there is somebody else staring down at you. You see what looks like to be an individual, maybe about around your height. That's sort of tall, bulky. You see they have sort of this almost reptilian white skin with their tusk protruding out of their sort of teeth on the bottom, with these sort of glowing, kind of almost like cyan blue eyes, with their black hair staring at you down. You don't know what it is that you did, but you can see they got beef with you. But kind of before you're able to kind of think about it, you're kind of pushed up to what looks like to be one of the prison guards that has sort of, typing at the moment at a typewriter. Kind of goes, okay, hey, how you doing? All right, so I need name and occupation.
Omera Azad, a healer.
You see, looks through files. Oh, all right, special one. All right, so here's the deal. You are going to be assigned Section C. Your job from this day until the Empire believes you are paid the debt to society will be to a quarter of rock-breaking work, and then you will work shifts under the medical duties under Navarra. They got a lab here, so you'll be kind of going between, breaking rocks and helping with their patients and treating prisoners from the other sections of the prison. And also with the professor's research in a limited capacity. Failure to uphold these duties will result in a switch to full-time rock breaker. And as you see, they're kind of giving you the lowdown. There is not a sense of concern in their voice. It's just like, all right, another fucking person. It's kind of very lethargic in nature as they read this off to you. As he sort of finishes off, he kind of goes, do you understand what has been given to you?
Omera nods. Yep. I think so.
Fantastic. You see he hits it. Proceed down to the elevator shaft. You will be directed to Section C. Next.
Okay. And Omera will, I guess, head on over to the elevator.
With that, you are in the elevator, a number of people. You see that William is headed in your direction, but he has to wait for the next kind of drop at the moment. But as you are sort of assigned that going down, you are huddled into this section. And as you sort of come out, sort of going through rock, it opens up to a large cavern. As you can hear the sound of the ocean hitting against the bedrock with the low hum of that creature that swims about. As you can see that you're going into the ocean itself at this moment. All around you, you can see is sort of a central spire of rock that leads out to multiple bridges of various sections. You see there are a number of things that catch your attention. When you think of prison, you think cell block, you think, closed off, keeping everyone separate. Here, it's more like an open community. The cells themselves are open. There's no safeguard for them to, like close it at night and then make sure everybody go and then reopen it. It is a completely open communal. And also the other thing that you get is the prisoners as you sort of laid off and go about. You are cast into it, and usually when you think of prison, you think fresh fish, goading and sort of all of that. That's not what happens here. What happens is maybe a little surprising, maybe not to you, up to your interpretation, but you see that they help the prisoners. You see there are some prisoners here that are just like you, that have a little bit less willpower and break a little bit easier crying. You see prisoners come, pick them up, try to get them something to eat, and overall, there's a sense of community among these prisoners rather than it being rival factions. As you're kind of thrust in here, what's going through your mind?
Well, firstly, Omera is hoping that William will be in Block C as well. Secondly, Omera is, I think, looking around nervously to see if this person who had been staring them down is in the elevator with them and in the same group, hoping that they're not. Because the last thing that Omera needs is somebody to try and fight them or kill them or who knows what else while Ray is here. But other than that, I think there is a sense of some semblance of like a calmer emotion that washes over Omera when they find this community here. Because where there is community, that means that there is reason, compassion. There is a chance to talk to people and to figure out what's going on and to perhaps fix what is wrong. And so I think Omera sees, however small, a chance of righting all of this in front of them.
Kind of going through that, you look behind you. The person that was staring daggers at you is coming for you right now. They are coming at you. You have a chance to either duck, out of the way, or something, but at the moment, they are charging straight for you at the moment, pushing people aside. Again, a very hulking figure, very built, coming straight at you. And the elevator has just started to go back up, so William is not going to be down for a little bit.
Omera tries to weave through the crowd and tries to get lost in it because, oh my god, I do not want to be caught right now.
Fantastic. You kind of try to go through, you kind of go to maybe at the moment you're trying to lose yourself at this moment through people. As you are going through it, you try to blend in, kind of finding the table at the moment, hoping you don't look, but it just doesn't work. And you can feel somebody grab the back of your head and slam it into the nearby board as you just hear something crack that you don't know what it is exactly, but you are thrown across as they throw you on the floor, looking at you.
Hey, what is the big deal? Do I know you?
You do not know me, but I know you, God Killer. You're the reason why all my comrades are dead.
Hey, I don't know what you think that I've done, but look, I don't know what happened. All I remember is that Johanna was attacking everybody, and then Azul, and then I went for her, and that was it. That was all I remember.
You see, they grab you by your sort of almost like shirt, picking you up. You think I give two craps about Johanna? No, I am talking about the Raven Separatist. My friends, people I fought side by side with, died the minute you entered in with your promises of peace with that blue icicle.
Hey, there was going to be peace. That wasn't. I promise that was not a deceitful plan. It was not meant to go that way. Johanna came and devoured everyone. I don't know what happened, but I promise you It was not meant to be that way.
Think for this instance here. You are trying to connect with someone. So when you try to connect with someone, tell them something intimate and answer one. I think for this instance here, you're kind of answering very specifically what common ground do we share. So you can answer that in whatever way you want, and I will answer what still divides us.
The common ground that we share is that we both witnessed a god in all of her unabashed, unrestrained cruelty. And that is harrowing and terrifying, to be immortal and to see a powerful being that has power over us just use it to throw our lives away, throw the lives of the people that we love away. I was there. I saw it too.
And what still divides you is, even though you saw it, whether or not they believe it or not, they lost people that they love. It could be either romantic or family-wise. And you do notice they're going to want a blood payment, which is a sense they're going to beat the shit out of you because it's going to make them feel better if you allow it. So knowing that in your mind as you have a split second here, do you fight back or do you just let them have their peace?
No, I think the tattoos in Omera's skin start to move as this threat becomes more apparent, and as this person starts to attack Omera, like for real, like not just the picking me up thing, but if they start to really try and attack me, I think those tattoos like erupt out of their skin, creating these jagged points like the thorns of a rose, like sticking out of their skin, and they hold up an arm to brace against a punch, for example, and I think those thorns are what make contact with this person's skin.
Fantastic. We're doing a little bit something different here. So you're kind of inflicting violence here, so if you be so kind, when you inflict violence on someone, you roll 2d6. You get to add +1 for each of these statements. They wish you harm, that's for sure. Are you desperate in this moment? I leave that to you. What are you feeling? You think you're desperate? Do you think you're not?
I think Omera is not so much desperate to protect themselves in this moment, but they are desperate overall because they don't understand what's going wrong and they feel like everybody is saying something and nobody is seeing the truth. And so I think in that way...
I just want to talk.
Omera is desperate in that way.
Fantastic. I'm gonna say it's not necessarily. It's not personal for you. It's personal for this other person. Okay. So you're gonna add +2 to this bad boy.
I got a 10.
You got a 10. That's an overkill. You lose yourself to righteous fury. So please, the GM will tell you the cost of your divinity. So I'll let you go first. As you are filled with this desperation, what are you doing as you see this person charges up to try to hit you?
I think it's that Omera does not understand the power that they wield within their body right now. Because they don't remember what happened after Ray attacked Johanna. Ray does not remember the power that, as somebody else put it, as William put it, went supernova out of them. And so they don't know their own strength right now. And so I think a little bit of that power, that divinity of Johanna herself, secrets and blood, I think comes out, and the tips of the thorns, whenever they make contact with this person in front of them, start to bleed. Not with the other person's blood, but the thorns themselves start to bleed first, and almost like in the puncture wounds, like a poison secreting into this person's body, start to hurt them in a more sort of long-term insidious way than what Omera intended, not knowing that this was something that was even possible at this point in time.
with that, almost like if they immediate reaction, they touch, you see they begin to, as they kind of go on the ground, kind of going into shock here. You see a bunch of other prisoners going, help him, get him out the way, and they sort of begin to crawl the body. And I think the cost of your divinity in this instance is this is your first impression. As you're looking around, people are here of helping and have a sense of community, and you pull up and immediately put someone into shock, which you can see around you looks of disdain. You start to hear people starting to say, as somebody overheard you describing your description of you worked for the Empire. So it's like traitor, freak, very much, which as you immediately isolate yourself in this moment. And any sort of, these people are here to help, this is a community, die in that very instance, as everyone is now afraid of you. And before you get a chance to explain your situation, you see a number of guards, prison guards, kind of come up and go, all right, everybody get out the way. And with that, you come here. And with that, they begin to try to strong arm you. Are you going to let that happen, or are you going to freak out on these guys too?
No, I think Omera is just gonna go, I didn't mean to. Go check on them. Are they okay? As they kind of like go limp and like allow themselves to be escorted away.
Sadly, William does come down at this moment, sees this going on as you're kind of dragged away here. It's like you are dragged and tossed into one of the nearby cells. You see one of the guards go, I see that you are enjoying yourself a little too much, freak. Now, do it again, and Bass is going to come down personally and give you an instruction on politeness. Do we understand each other?
Yes, I didn't mean to. It doesn't matter.
Good. And to teach you this lesson, Bass has ordered you on a half ration today. So enjoy your first day. As you see the guards kind of laugh among themselves, and one of them tosses something over before they go off. As you find yourself isolated in this room, there's a bed that's now turned over and a dark corner with no light. So before we go on our break here, what is the last moments going through Omera's mind as you find yourself isolated, alone, with no hope, and with everyone seeing you as a monster rather than the healer you know you are?
Omera walks over to the bed, turns it right side, sits on it, and will, from their hair, pull out, I think, that one same long-stemmed flower that Ray had been holding in this dream. They're not quite sure if it was a dream, in that in-between place. And they will place it, I think, in between sort of the headboard of the bed and the wall of their room. And as they do so, one of the petals of the flower breaks off and falls to the ground. As Omera sits there with head in rare hands, trying to make sense of everything that has gone wrong. And I think the words of that person, that purple winged person, swim into the forefront of Omera's mind in this moment. That things are about to be worse for them.
Indeed, as the camera slowly pulls away, as you're in a place where no one will ever find you. And at the moment, where no one will love you. And that is where we shall take a quick break. So please, grab a snack, go to El Baño, and we'll be right back with more Sad Times. See you soon, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Forsaken. With all of that in mind, let us get back into the episode. As we return back, we zoom on that flower, and almost like in a sense of a fast forwarding of it, we see it slowly begin to shrivel. With no sunlight and no water really of a constant nature, it dies off from age. As about maybe a couple months have passed, 3 to 4. At this moment, Omera, you are waking up to another morning. No one's really bothered you because they've stayed away. William is your cellmate because he's the only person that is willing to bunk with you. You see that as you wake up, he's not here. He had to go to his shift. But you know you have to head to the lab today. So what's going on your mind as you begin to prepare your satchel with all your tools that you will need?
How long has it been since the last?
3 to 4 months is what you're guessing, but that is only from time you have kept, as you have the, etchings. But it's hard to tell time in here, especially since there's no sense of light. So are you just guessing on the amount of times you slept?
Okay. In that time, would it be fair to say that I would have been able to acquire any herbs or similar kind of ingredients as to what I used when I was doing healing magic back at home?
Yes, but a much more limited capacity. For the actual kind of stuff you need to do effective healing is kind of lock and key with Professor Navarre that's in their lab. But it is a cave, so there is sea moss and various other things that grow along the walls that you're able to pick up and make. Most of them can be used for healing, but for your purposes here, and just to give you a little bit of something in your pocket, it can be used as a poison if need be.
Okay. I think there is a small amount of the materials that I gather that I set aside for William, just as a thank you for sticking by my side for all this time, even when nobody else will. And I know that that is not easy for William either. That makes him a little bit of a target sometimes, I'm sure. And so the first thing that I do really is that I take that little subset of the things that I have, some moss, some lichen, whatever, and I will bundle it up and put it on top of William's pillow, like a little pillow mint at a hotel, and we'll leave that for him for when he returns. But otherwise, I will do as I always do during the day. I will get ready. I will eat whatever little breakfast that I am able to alone. And I will head over to the lab.
You begin to eat. William give you a little bit of what he didn't finish. He's not very much. He's more of a snacker rather than someone who eats, and most of the time gives whatever he has to you. And as you prepare yourself, walk out, is another day at the prison. You notice that people are moving out the way, almost like in a sense of you're walking one direction, people just part, give you a look, a glance, some disdain, some fear. But you do also fear the eye of Bast watching over you, as they have taken a keen liking to watching you suffer over the past couple months. Sometimes it's little things like a surprise routine check in the middle of the night, and sometimes it's something more sinister. You have never really been able to know why, but you do think there is a reason why he tortures you somewhat. But, as I said before, it is a community here, built on respect and helping each other out, looking out for your own interests. As you begin to walk up, you take the elevator with the key you are provided with to go into the professor's office as you take the elevator up. It's very shaggedy, rickety, and as it kind of opens up as you find yourself in the laboratory here. It is a bit different. It is more of a conservative room, a little bit small. There is a table in which subjects are put on. And at the moment, you see Navarre is currently inspecting one of the patients that didn't make it. Usually patients come here if they're in a very critical state, and you try your best to save everyone, but for those you can't save, they simply kill. It's a waste of space for them. There's no point in keeping someone who's dying. You might as well just get it over with. But at the moment, you see that they are experimenting with pieces of this prisoner's flesh, with pieces of shard that they're able to scrape off your chest from your ore. As you kind of come in, you see that they are intrigued by the results as your shard from your chest reacts with the flesh, turning that flesh into metal, almost like a transmutation, as they're writing their notes down. And you swear, and it has been happening for some time, you're starting to see that creature from that void almost like a passive observer now, as you see that they are still covered in shadows, in there almost at this point clutched over a perch that oversees everything as they silently watch like they have been doing for the past months as you walk in.
And to clarify, this person perched in the shadows is the same one that I saw in that in-between space?
Yes, and from what you can gather, you're the only one who can see it. Nobody else can see this creature.
And I think Omera, in the back of their head, every time they can see the creature and nobody else can, thinks to themselves that they must be marked for death. And this is the Reaper following them around until it is their time soon, probably. And with that kind of somber, macabre thought in the back of her head, Raya walks up towards Navarre, who is experimenting, as you said, on this body, and observes what is happening.
Good morning, Omera. Did you sleep well?
Good morning. As well as I can. How are you?
I'm good. I am testing on Mr. Finch here. As you see, he points almost like non-caringly to the corpse, more of a test subject rather, of like if a mice was dead or something, rather than it being a person who had a life, who had history, who had dreams and hopes that is now laying dead and opened up. It is very interesting the results I'm getting from your shard results this week.
Interesting. How?
Well, as you can see, with the correct rune manipulation, it almost acts as if it is alive. It is moving and adapting to the temperature.
The shard or the person?
The shard interacts as kind of synaptic response, and with that, configures the flesh to what is needed.
Are you suggesting that this shard is biological matter?
It could be. Could be magical in nature, but whatever it is, it can adapt, which is interesting.
Certainly is, and I think Omera will kind of like look down at their own chest, where I assume the pieces of the shard are still sticking out.
It is, yeah, it's healed up, so it still, protrudes out a bit, but nothing, you're kind of used to it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still there.
And they kind of look down at their own chest and think back to what William and so many people have told them, that they exploded out like a supernova after what happened with Johanna, and that for all intents and purposes, Omera should be dead, and thinks that perhaps this this adaptation might be one of the reasons, if not the reason, that they are alive right now. And I think with that thought kind of roiling in their mind, they turn to Nava and they say, "How can I help you today? I'm on lab duty, as you are well aware."
Yes, we will get to that later on. But at first and foremost, you are needed in, you see, pull up the notes, Block W, which to you is kind of an instant like, okay, as that's kind of the furthest you would ever have gone down. A to Z is this place, and W is pretty far down. You've never been that far down, but you see they kind of go, you will be headed there. There is an inmate that needs treatment. And Bast has willingly act as your guide to the block.
Is there anything that you can tell me about this patient? What is it that they're suffering from? What is it that they need?
Well, I think it is just a simple case of a fracture or a misplaced bone. They were working on the mine shift, and apparently I think they've slipped and hit a rock or something of that nature.
Okay. Seems simple enough. I think the unusual nature of being asked to go so far down kind of pings in Omera's head, and I would like to feel something out. And I say something because it's not Nava that I'm trying to feel out, but particularly I guess the general vibes around this particular ask or request. It seems kind of odd to Omera that they're being asked to go so far for something so simple when presumably somebody closer could have maybe handled it. And the fact that Bast is personally accompanying me down there when I know that he is the way that he is, kind of just strikes me as suspicious. So just trying to figure out, like, is there anything about this that feels like dangerous or like I'm being misled in some way?
For you in this instance, I think with the first thing you're kind of getting off your head is that if you're going so far down and Bast is accompanying, you think the most welcoming thing here is Bast isn't playing games with you. I think they just they need you and they're probably going to talk some shit. So it's just an opportunity for them to, since you've never been down there, it's like, well, it's my job as warden to escort my prisoners and show them everything. So he's acting more like a tour guide, maybe to give you some bad news. So it isn't necessarily Bast cooking something up. In terms of dangers or whatever, you get the sense of that maybe somebody pulled strings to get you down there. I mean, if it's just a simple fracture, why doesn't somebody deal with it? But you do know that even though you're here for life, offers are exchanged between sometimes prisoners and guards, because currency isn't just money, other things you can do. And with that, maybe somebody pulled strings to get you down there. So maybe somebody down there wants really to speak with you.
Okay, and I think that is the thing that feels dark to Omera as they kind of ponder this task in front of them, because nobody wants to speak with Rem. Nobody at all, other than, well, William, I suppose. Nice enough as he is, and so the fact that somebody wants to, or probably wants to, be in their presence, I think they put up their hackles at that. And so they will accept the task because they have to, and will wait for Bast to show up to escort them. But I think Omera's hands are kind of in their pocket, thumbing over the different herbs and ingredients that they have, the very little that they have, that can be used for healing or for killing.
Fantastic. With that, as you immediately almost open the door, you see Bast with their bronze-like wings. This point of the day, wearing something of a little bit more of a of a Mali number. You see that they've gotten, just to maybe extra fuck with you today, you see their style is a little bit more similar to that of which you're home, and you see, well, Omera! No long time, no long see. How do you like the threads? I bought this little number from home. I wanted to give you something to comfort you in.
You're so kind to think about my comfort, Bast. Clearly
I am a warden.
Yes, and clearly the gods have given you nothing but compassion.
Well, let us go, witch. We do have a number of things we must do. You're going to be headed to Block W.
A number of things. I was told that there was only one patient. Are there multiple down there?
Oh, there's various people working for, my gospel, are doing their job for the Empire, but, I will say, I am intrigued by the person who was hurt in this instance. Usually they are someone who is very up-to-date with their athletics, so a bit strange, but nothing out the ordinary. People break all the time.
So what is it about this person that intrigued you so much?
They've been in here for quite some time. Led a rebellion, I heard, or there's a rebel leader of some sorts, but yeah, you know how those things turn out. As they kind of jab you a little bit.
And Omera bristles at the contact with Bast, but contains themselves and I think schools themselves not to have any sort of reaction, as they have learned to do over these past few months. How these things normally go. Well, I mean, it should be a routine heal.
Well, that's good. That's why you've been the best healer we've had. And you see, as he kind of closes the elevator and you begin to go down, you see him kind of go, "Oh, did you hear the news?"
The
Just
news?
You see a smile. Yeah, I heard a little bit of something from the parlor, something from the tavern. Something about your brother. Or was it Yakin?
And Omera's red flags are being raised at this point because Bast doesn't say anything that's not bad news to them. So they turn very quickly and sharply to face Bast. What about Yakin?
Well, your brother, he was assigned to find some culprits behind the Treasure Fleet robbery, but he hasn't really done a really good job, I think it may be something that runs in the family. You don't really get the job done, do you? But let's just say the Emperor's had enough of his shit. They sent the Dagger of Kairos to deal with the traitors, to flush them out.
What do you mean by flush them out?
Well, clearly, the Empire, or the Emperor specifically, believes that if a treasure fleet was attacked, who would know where the route was going? There's only one group of people in the whole Empire that knows where all the economic routes are. A place where all the money goes, where gambling goes free, and loose slopes fly.
What does that have to do with Yakin? He is not part of the Dagger.
He's failing to do his job, and the Dagger of Kairos, for your information, is someone the Emperor deals with. Think of them like you. They're a doctor, a practitioner of healing. They go in, and they ensure the Empire's peace is kept, no matter what the cost is.
And Omera, I think, starts to panic in this moment. And they look at Bast for any sign that they might be lying or exaggerating in order to really just twist the knife into Omera, that if this is something that is meant to hurt them and is not fully true, Omera's looking for something like that. So I'm trying to... Yeah,
I
go.
mean, do you feel like, do you want to feel them out, or are you trying to not really connect? I feel like
I think it's to feel him out.
I think for this purposes here, I'll answer what feels dark.
Okay.
And sort of unnerving. I think what you're doing here, this is a taunt. This is in the sense that you get the feeling your brother's in hot water, because you do remember he was assigned this task, and it's been 3 months, in your mind at least, which means that he still hasn't found whoever. And the Dagger of Kairos is a very infamous kind of figure. You don't know what they look like, but you do know that they're one of the Emperor's aspect, which is a very rare feat for the Emperor to take on an apprentice, or like to take on and train somebody. Azul is one of the only people you know. They have maybe I think this may be like the only other one, maybe Titus, but you're not really sure to say because you didn't really get time with them. But you can understand if you're in the Emperor's kind of council, it's very rare. And from what you heard, this person gets the job done, whether casualties are involved or not. So that's the kind of unnerving thing, is that your brother's in hot water and they're taunting you, and leaves you with the question of what feels welcoming on the surface of this horrible news.
What feels welcoming on the surface is that there is still time. That Yakin is in hot water, but that means that he has not yet been sentenced to death. There is still time for him to avoid the chopping block, and perhaps there is something that Omera can do from here to help that. And so I think Omera makes a note in their mind to trade for something with somebody to gain information about perhaps the Dagger of Kairos, to see if there's anybody that is a part of this group, or if there's something that they can trade in return for their brother's life.
Fantastic. With that, you see that as they kind of open up the door, he kind of goes, "Well, I will be waiting here for you. And with that, just know, if anything was to happen to your brother, I would be sure to go to his funeral in your honor. Leave whatever precious items you wish, because you know," as you see, they put a hand on you, "I care for you, Omera. You're one of my very special gospels, one of the most interesting people I know, and I want to make sure you're on your tippy-toppest shape. You understand this, yes?"
Yes. Thank you.
Not a prisoner. All right, you go get him. I have work to do.
And Omera will slowly turn away from Bast and away from the elevator to Block W, to where this prisoner awaits them.
You enter here, and one of the first things that you get is a sense of heat that comes off of your face. Going down here, you see this place is pretty close to where lava beds are, where the ocean kind of is, and a lot of foraging is happening here. You see people kind of breaking it up. It's very much that sort of eminence of like an early 1900s factory, smoke coming off and sort of dust in your face, smoke coming up, fumes, and you can see that whoever's working down here, you're surprised you haven't come down here more. With all the smoke, ash, and everything they have to deal with, you can imagine the black lung these guys have with what they're dealing with. But as you kind of go through, everybody's kind of going about their job, a lot of heavy industry here. But as you turn off to the side, you enter into one of the hovels. And with that, you see there an individual that is currently sitting by the bed with a bottle of alcohol in their hand, trying to think of the pain. You notice their shoulder is sort of, not in a sense fractured, but misplaced. Sort of displaced, if you were to say it. But you see this individual is very, maybe about 5'6". Their hair is short with a braid that comes off the side and sort of ponytail that comes down. Very much kind of trans mass kind of figure to them, as you see there's kind of a binder around their mid region there. You notice there's sort of purple that's coming off of their shoulders, which is a little bit weird. But the thing that you notice most are their eyes. as they have black, almost pitch black irises with neon purple glowing, kind of like in the middle region of their eye. So in terms of like the iris is neon purple, while everything else around in the eye region is pitch black. The other individual you see on their side are two more. One on the right is slightly taller. You can see they're sort of more. They haven't seen sunlight in a while, so their skin is a little bit more whitish in nature. You see they sort of have more of very distinct elvish ears, where their hair is long and sort of in a bun, but still waving on the side. And the other one you see is more like a gnomish height. You see there might be about maybe 3'4". Their hair is short and black. You see they have a little bit of draconic scales coming off of their sort of left section of their face with glasses as they have it on. And with that, the individual speaks up. Are you the healer?
Yep, that's me. My name is Omera. Which one of you is the patient?
You see, that'll be me. Name's Aiden. The tall one with the face looking like they had something sour in it is Jasea, and the one that's over here that's may think is a kid but it's not is Sava. You see they both kind of give a hi. Kind of hurt my shoulder doing some mining. You mind taking a look at it, Doc?
Not at all. It's nice to meet all of you, by the way. And Omera will walk over to Aiden and will start to examine his shoulder. As they do, while I'm examining his shoulder as well, you mentioned that the purple coming off of his skin is a little bit unusual. And so I assume that the fracture or dislocation or whatever it is that has happened on the shoulder is relatively easy to diagnose, and so I think Omera spends a little bit of that extra time trying to figure out, like, do I recognize this skin condition in any way?
Intimately, it's very similar to just moments ago you saw a reaction between your metal with skin, and you can see upon closer inspection there is you can see, just because it's like a sleeveless kind of shirt they're wearing, they have a little bit more going on in their sort of chest region that they're not showing off, but you do notice that along the shoulders it's a little bit more of like a metallic nature, in a sense, that's kind of just stood there. And their eyes as well kind of glow the same color as your shards do.
I don't know if this counts as recognizing a god, but is there any way for me to try and recognize, like, is this divine energy that is coming off of Aiden?
I can say you don't have to roll for this because it's something you can get a sense of a reaction a little bit, as you do notice that your shards, as you kind of get closer, react just a bit in your mind, and you do notice that the individual that has been silent and just kind of going about their time watching you kind of pulls up almost like behind them, very creepy like, just like they weren't there before, and then immediately come out the side and begin to investigate and kind of speak. That's interesting.
Where did you... Sorry, addressing the primary issue first. It's a relatively simple case of dislocation, so I can easily fix that up for you, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Doc. I'm all yours.
And Omera will start, like, I assume, like, they brought a bag that they had gotten from Nava, that they are only allowed to have when they're on duty, with all of their medical supplies. And so Ray will kind of start creating like a sling, and will start creating sort of a concoction of different herbs and whatnot to make into a salve that they can put, that he can put on his arm, to help with the pain that will be there when it's healing. But as Omera does that very simple and I think routine task, they kind of eye the shoulder and then look into Aiden's eyes, which are that same purple, and say, "You have a run-in with a god recently?"
I think we're both in the same boat. Word around town is you killed a god. That true?
Yes? Does that mean that you did too?
I got close. Didn't take, though. Was just a wee bit short.
Which god, if you don't mind my asking?
I'll answer your question if you answer mine. If you don't mind me asking.
Depends on the question, I suppose.
How's prison life going for you? Everything you dreamed of when you signed up to work for the Empire?
I shouldn't be here. It's been terrible, but I'm sure you already knew that before you asked. I thought that I would find the mercy of the gods here. And instead, all I've found is cruelty and arrogance on the part of our great Archon, Bast.
Bast is a spoiled little child that never got daddy's love. And to answer your question, it was Quintus. Caught me on the high seas.
Fortune and Wraith. Are you the treasure that's been stolen recently in around Mali? Was that you?
Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Got a question for you, if you don't mind me asking another. As you see that the arm is, you said it, and you kind of prepare yourselves to fix it, but you can see almost like it fixing itself. As you see, they kind of move it about and it begins to sort of, as it begins to set back and heal after you push it in place.
Well, it seems that you didn't need me after all. Why am I really
Hard
here?
to get it's hard to get an audience with a god killer. You want to get out of here?
That's impossible.
Says the person who killed a god. I think impossible would be something that has been written off of your vocabulary.
What are you offering? Really?
Way out of here. Way to get you home.
And after
Need your
that?
help, though. I'll leave it up to you. You can hitch a ride with us, or you can go off on your own. I just need to get out of here, and at the moment, you're the only one that's, one, killed a god, and two, has access to the labs.
Answer me this, Aiden. Why were you trying to kill Quintus?
You see they get up and get close to you. Maybe I didn't like the way they stared at me. Maybe they're just a dick. And maybe wrong place, wrong time. Does it really matter? I'm not a god, so at least you know I won't lie or try to eat you. And I got references if you need them. As you see, points to his other two cohorts here.
I would like to feel Aiden out in this moment to understand what is he hiding behind that answer. Is there any semblance of emotion or like very slight intent that I can discern behind Aiden's motivation to try and kill Quintus?
Question here, which one are you going to answer? The comforting or the dark? Do you want to answer in this moment before I answer the other one?
Which one do I want to answer? I'll go with what feels welcoming.
Welcoming, all right. So what feels welcoming here?
What feels welcoming on the surface here is that there are others like Omera. There are others who have been touched by this shard, that have wielded its power, even if not completely, even if not in the way that Ray has. But that people still have. Aiden has. And survived, lived to tell the tale, is right here breathing in front of them. And so I think what feels welcoming here is that there's some sort of kinship. Even though Omera doesn't understand fully why one might want to kill the handsome, they understand why they wanted to kill the devourer. And perhaps there's something there. Perhaps there is something wrong with the exalted that must be weeded out from the garden. So there's a kinship there. There's an understanding, and I think that connection feels welcoming here. The first connection other than William that Omera has had for months.
And I think sort of the dark thing, the disturbing thing, is kind of a mix here. As a bit of blood begins to sort of come out from where you are doing your bit of refixing here. And while not fully in your control at the moment, you can sense their emotion. And behind this suave performance, in their eyes, you can sense an unbridled amount of rage for everything against them. This is a person who's got a lot of hate inside of them. And whether you've seen that before or understand that, it kind of questions, when it comes down to it, are they going to help you? Or are they going to toss you aside?
When you say blood comes out, is it mine or Aiden's?
Aiden's.
I think as Omera is helping to, put the salve on Aiden's shoulder, which they know that he clearly does not need, but is going to do anyway, they are going to try and, with a finger, swipe some of this blood. Hopefully without him noticing. So I don't know if you want to call that tempting fate, but
I think we're using a power here. You don't have to really, you can, blood, put it behind. They're not really going to notice. But you are trying to use your power here that you got from the lovely Johanna.
Oh, do I just get the blood? Okay, cool. I was doing step one,
yes.
but...
No, you just get the blood here. Because again, they're not really noticing. And again, they don't know what your deal is. So at the moment, it's just like, oh, the medic's got blood on their hands. That's normal, so. But for this instance here, first describe the power itself. And then with that, we're going to roll to wield it. So please, what is the power you got from the Archon of Blood and Secrets?
So the power that I got from Johanna, the Archon of Blood and Secrets, is that using a drop of someone's blood, I can paint my ear to learn a secret that they hold. So with Aiden's blood on their hands, Omera is going to take one of Rare Hands and almost going as if they were going to tuck their hair behind their ear, or like run a hand through their hair, is going to run the bloodied fingers along their ear and paint it.
Fantastic. With that, when you wield a power, you can do only what a god can. For this instance, we're going to add one for each of these that are true. So let's see. You've done this specific act before imperfectly. I'm going to leave that up to you. You're going to say no. All right, no.
I would like to think that this is actually the first time Omera has ever done this.
Fantastic. You are desperate for this to work, are you?
I don't think so.
Just let you know, strain-wise, you're back to full, so you're 5, so you're not at 4 anymore, so you're full up. So
you mean I'm at 0 strain?
You're at 0, you're at 5, you're dead. No,
I was like, yeah, are you gonna kill me?
It's opposite here, opposite day. Fantastic, but no, you're at 0. And then you're close to a shrine, lair, or domain of a god you took the power from. You're not really close to
That's up to you. You know the geography.
Not really. You're so far away. So no.
Cries.
No, not per se. So really just rolling straight here, what it looks like. So please roll.
Oops, I got snake eyes.
You got, oh boy, hey boy. With that, your power sputters and your enemy sees your weakness. Suffer 2 strain instead to achieve the full effect before they can react. So with that, you can do that there. Suffer 2 strain, if my math is correct here on the way this moves work. As you're able to do that, putting it behind your ear before they notice, you can see almost like a red mist form from behind their head and along their body as you begin to hear the whispers. You see a battlefield, no man's land to be specific, of a place where the sun doesn't really shine anymore. It is smoke and ash, bodies are everywhere, and you see of the mountain of corpses, one person, small child, climbing their way out of it, scared about everything that is happening, as you see Imperial soldiers cleaning a castle of its members, as you see a flag of a white stag burning in the distance before you are cut out of it. They're just staring at you. They don't notice anything.
I think the 2 strain manifests as Omera's one ear bleeding as they tried to contain this divine magic and control it. The first time that they have ever used it, not having a need for it before, but Omera looks at Aiden with new eyes, seeing almost the childlike features on his face right now, as if it was superimposed from that memory. And Omera will rummage into that pack that they have with all of their healing items, and they will create a particularly strong potion. The same as the one that they have been creating, I think, like a milder or weaker versions of, with the like scrounged up materials that they've been able to find. And Ray kind of puts it on the ground and like pushes it, slides it over towards Aiden. You've suffered a lot, right? So
we've all done our suffering.
Perhaps more than I realized, more than I saw. And I know that I can't undo everything that has been done, that I've done. But that, and Omera will tap the top of the vial, that will either bring a lack of pain and rest, or a permanent rest to someone. Depends on the dosage that it is used. And I give that to you. Think of it as, I would say, recompense from the gods, but I fear that the gods have abandoned us.
Indeed. We can work it into the plan, but as you see they take it, I'm going to need to ask something from you if you care to join our little prison break.
What's that?
With that, you see they point over to their smaller friend there. So you work in the lab. With that, you have access to a number of materials there, but there is one thing we need. As you see, they pull out what looks like to be kind of like a dummy device or something to switch it out with. What looks like to be some sort of copper core with a number of arcane symbols on it. This is a tentacore. See, a couple weeks back, we down here found what can only be described as something of the old gods, a bit of a golem of his sense, a guardian, a mechanical wonder, kind of depowered at the moment. But if we can get this tentacore, the real one that's upstairs, if you can swipe it out for this dummy one, we can kind of take the juice out of the bad boy and maybe use it to power the golem.
You found a ruin of an old god?
Yeah, you see, they found one too. One of the old boundless here. Aldir, their god of the forge, I guess, if you want to make a comparison. Wonder, really.
So there's more of them out there. I, too, found, or didn't find, but was taken to a ruin of an old god, and everything strange that happened with me happened there. I wonder if it can't be a coincidence that we have found again a ruin of an old god. You, and I think Omera kind of like lifts a hand and kind of gestures to the purple along Aiden's body. That you were drawn to it, perhaps.
You see, they kind of put your hand to the side. Sweetheart, nothing about me is divine. But I'm getting sidetracked here. Not really much to believe in gods. Think it's just luck. So, for you, in this instance, all you have to do, find the real core that's up there in the lab and switch it out with this dummy one. Once you find once you find the core, just bring it to the courtyard, where you'll find Stim, who apologizes, by the way, for the little outburst that they gave. And you give them the core. We'll be there, and with that, we'll tell you the rest of the plan. Sound like a deal?
Yeah. That's a deal.
Fantastic. You see, Alvar hands it over. Now, you may want to act quick. I know, from what I know from your shift, you only have so many more hours in the lab, so you should get back to it. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you as well. And Omera will try and put this core into the pack that they have with them. So trying to hide it away, tuck it underneath maybe some of their other materials. And they will pick it up, stand up, and sort of take one last really good look at Aiden. At the child that had his whole life stolen from him. And with this cognitive dissonance in their mind still battling inside of them, they will bow politely and turn to leave.
Fantastic. With that, you turn to leave, and we fast forward as Bass gets out the way. You go back to the lab. As you get back to the lab, getting there, you know where this core is. At the moment, it's going to be a little hard to get, but as you enter the room thinking about, how do I get this thing? You see, the professor kind of comes in and goes, Omera, I have some wonderful news for you.
What is it?
I have made a wonderful discovery. Sit down. They're going to sit you down. They pull a chalkboard up. As you know, the ore that we have been scraping from your chest is unlike anything we have come across, as it seems almost alive and responses to materials it interacts with, whether it be organic, as she shows the example form, or inorganic. It is adaptable. But I think I have some good news. Done a little bit of experimenting, and I think I will be able to remove this ore from your body once and for all. And once it is removed, I have word that once it is out and out of your body, you can live out the rest of your sentence under house arrest back home.
Really? I can leave?
Yes, that was what I heard.
What does this process entail exactly, removing the core?
quite simple, like any kind of surgery. We would put you under, and I will do my careful operations to make sure no veins are punctured in any vital capacities of your organs, and then simply patch it up.
And you're sure that it's safe?
On my honor, as a scholar of the Helix Academy, I promise you will be not harmed.
Are they telling the truth?
For this instance, you want to feel them out?
Yeah.
Or connect? I'll give it between those two there.
I don't think I'm trying to connect. I think it is to feel someone out.
That is sussy today, but with that...
Can you blame me? Everyone hates me. I need to know if people are lying to me.
Oh, boy. I think the dark thing that you notice, I think it's just something you are kind of, you get up, you think about it, kind of walking aside, especially you still looking at the core, you see papers, correspondence. You don't know exactly who they are corresponding to, but you do see just the gist of it, just a quick glance. You don't get the whole thing, you only get certain words. Things that you see from this specifically, you see it has subject condition, adapting, infinity machine, and the thing that concerns you the most, subject will most likely die during extraction.
Can you blame me for being suspicious when this is the bullshit I'm up against? And alternatively, what feels welcoming on the surface is that there is a chance, probabilistically, that Omera will survive and that they will be able to leave here and live out a relatively normal life back home, which is what they have wanted this whole time, for just all of this to end. And most likely means that there's still a chance. And Omera kind of takes all of this in and says, "Can I have some time to think about it?" It's a big decision.
Sure. I would hope so, but it will take some time to get the materials and the proper professionals to do this. So it is going to take some time, which will give you time to decide. So please take your time, and I will notify you once more when everyone is here together. Now, if you excuse me, I do have to check on something with the warden. So if you don't mind, I'll be right back. If anybody comes, I just want to go speak with them.
Of course. And I think...
They leave the room so you can...
When Nava leaves the room, Omera's mind is swimming. It is reeling because they want so badly to cling on to this last semblance of hope, this last semblance of their life from before. But I think that vision, that image of Aiden as a kid in this vast battlefield of the Imperial forces around him, the burning flag, all of that, the vision of Johanna killing hundreds of people, thousands of people for no reason, the cruelty of it all, of all of this, I think just these images keep superimposing themselves onto Rare's mind as Ray thinks about this, and ultimately I think Omera can't deny it anymore. Can't deny it having been here where people are disappeared with no chance to speak for themselves, no opportunity for justice. There's something wrong with the Empire. There's something wrong with the gods. And maybe there always has been. Maybe they've never been just, never been kind, never been loving. And maybe that was all a lie. And I think with that thought, their worldview quite literally shattering in this moment, Omera will turn around, recognizing that they probably don't have very much time left, and will start looking for that core.
It's not too hard for you to find because you worked here and you've kind of sensed it. You see it's kind of in a little box next to a machine that is mostly used for communication, for a quick looking at somebody's visuals when communicating with somebody over a long distance. With that, kind of open the core, and as you open it, you see that it's very similar to the fake one, except as you touch this one, it hums a little bit more with energy. So much so that you kind of react bodily wise as you see your shards almost begin to emanate, kind of almost like registering this sort of new magical source as you begin to take it and switch it out. Do you kind of cover your tracks here, or do you kind of leave as soon as possible?
I mean, if there's any way to make it seem like I wasn't messing around with all of this, I will. But I'm not sure how this core works. I never learned any of that information, so I don't think that I could do anything to make the core appear more like the real one. I think the most that Omera can do and what they'll try to do is just make it look like they didn't touch anything, putting everything back exactly where it was.
Yeah, you kind of just, okay, put it back, lock it, kind of toss the key aside. Is there any other things? There's the correspondence that's there, so you do have an opportunity. If you want to take it, is an opportunity, but again, if you take it, they may know something's up, so that's the only thing, but there is the other object in the room if you want to take that with you before you head into the courtyard.
What is the other object in the room again?
The correspondence. They've been talking with somebody about.
Oh, but other than the correspondence, there's not like a third thing. Sorry, I thought you mentioned.
No.
Okay.
No, it's just that. So.
Yeah, I don't think Omera is going to take the correspondence with them, but they will spend whatever time they have left reading it in its entirety. As much of it as they can get, they're going to commit to memory.
Yeah, from it, general gist. This started immediately when you entered into the prison. They've been taking shards, like scrapings off of your metal, not just to mess around with, but somebody within the Empire is very keen on your condition, your progress, how is it reacting. It's a full scientific report of how this is working. And there is multiple references to something called the Infinity Machine. It is something of a high importance, that it is some medical manifestation, something they're trying to build, and what is in your chest is key to that. Not much is in terms of who it's from. You don't really get a sense. You do know it is from higher up, as from the officials and the seals and whatnot, but the only name that you see pop up again is that you see that name again, the sort of Dagger of Kairos.
Are there any scrapings of my shard in this room right now?
Yes, there is. It's kind of in a very much petri dish kind of thing.
I'm going to swipe it.
Fantastic. You take that and leave?
Yep. Head to the courtyard as I was instructed to find Stem.
Fantastic. With that, you take your step, begin to go down. You walking down, trying to be as discreet as possible. Bass is not looking at you, so it makes it a little bit easier for you to not be bothered. But with that, you head into the courtyard. You see, it's probably about the end of the shift. You hear the whistle blowing off. As everybody's kind of, you can think of this place maybe kind of like a market square or kind of like a town hub. This is where everybody comes to kind of relax and whatnot. With little they can, because again, it is a prison. They'd still give you enough to get your asses drunk and to food of some nature. But the moment you see Aiden, William, and Aiden's two other cohorts there, along with Stim, so kind of the whole group is there as they're kind of talking with each other, and they look like they're in the kitchen kind of working together, working on a stew. And with that, you see William kind of like give you a wave and kind of come over.
I will go over and I will just kind of under my breath say, "You've been a part of this whole time?"
Well, I met Aiden here when I was working in one of the tunnels. They are extremely good at this job, and I told them the story about a little god killer that we have here, and they said we could use someone like that.
Well, could have used a heads up or something next time.
No, I just wanted to keep it secret because Bast is always on your ass, and the last thing I need is for him to know that we're conspiring with Section W down there. So, I know it wasn't exactly the best thing to do, but I do know that you don't want to be here.
That's okay. Did you get the sachet that I left on your pillow?
Oh, I did. It works wonders for my knees. You work so long down here, it becomes a bit achy, so it works wonders.
Anything that I can do to help?
You see Ada go, you do get a room, but for this instance here, do you have the thing?
I do. And I think Omera is going to bring this bag, which they, by the way, were not supposed to take with them. It is, again, just meant to be used when they're on duty, but it is the only thing that they had big enough to hide the core. So they brought the bag with them, and I think they open it and dig around in it for a little bit and pull out this core and put it, like, behind maybe some, like, pots and stuff, so that, like, somebody looking from a ways away can't immediately see it. There it is. And when I put it out, I want to particularly keep an eye on Aiden to see, like, does Aiden's body react to the core?
No, does not react, not one bit. Kind of goes, fantastic. You see, takes it, pops over to Sylvia, get to work. With that, all right, I need some time. You see, he kind of goes, you could work. All right. Next part of the plan is going to be something you're not going to be comfortable with.
What's that?
We have to wait a month.
Not ideal. I thought this was going to be more of like a immediate situation, but why a month?
Well, part of how this prison's going to work is we need the right weather conditions. And from what I've heard, monsoon season is coming in next month. We need those waves high, and we need this place flooded.
I'm sorry, this place floods?
There is on a bit of a bottoms, but usually the guards are able to keep it under control. But the thing is, they're so time consumed with trying to, keep the water at bay that they minimize the amount of guards that are actually on the sort of ramparts here, keeping all of us secured. See, the problem with them is that they're lazy. They think because they have a god that they don't have to worry about anything. You can't kill a god. But luckily for us, we have you.
Okay. I'm sorry. You want me to kill Bast?
I mean, it would be preferable if you kill him. You can decide not to, but then again, it's Myson's kid. So, I mean, I know you're already racking up let's say not best hit sheet. So, I mean, you don't have to kill him, but knowing Bast, he may come back worse. So, may do everybody a service, especially after all he's done. You see William go, I really don't think you should be going around killing gods. I mean, I know you can do it, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. I mean, if you kill Bast, you're killing Myson's child. I don't think the god, fucking with the god of the laws around in the Empire is a good thing to, do. But also, if you killed my child, you don't think I'm going to come after you? Hell bent.
And Omera just kind of like holds up both of their hands. This is kind of a lot to be. We have a month. Give me some time to think about it, okay? And maybe I'll know what to do then.
Well, that's good. That's good. Why don't you eat up?
What's for food?
It's my mama's special favorite stew. It's made from what I could make from here, and especially with some of the things you made. And as he's kind of going off, you hear an alarm go off. You see the lights around you turn from white to red. And with that, you hear Aiden under the breath, shit.
Do I recognize like the alarm at all? Is this like a routine thing for a particular thing, or? This
is lockdown, which means something in the prison has happened, and now the guards are going to come into the prison area.
Okay. This core. Is there anywhere immediately around us that we can hide it?
You have the pots and pans, but the thing is, Sylvia literally has it open right now, and you see that they have like, okay, I said what I said. I'm gonna need some time. I don't think we can really hide this, because you know what best is, so, I mean, I can hide, but you need to buy me some time, so I can distract when I can distract out of here.
Okay, distraction. Yeah. Got it. And I think Omera will turn to wherever the kind of like center of this area is, where we can expect like Bast or any guards to be showing up from.
With that, you are kind of going out. You see they kind of take this sort of the short person that's there and kind of put them behind the pots and pans. You see William kind of goes, I'll go with him, and kind of goes off to protect them. As you come down, you see a number of guards begin to get along and circle about. As you see, they have their rifles out, loaded. And with that, you see Bast, superhero land in the middle with their wings brazen out, and goes, all right, my lovely disciples, it looks like we have a thief among us. Someone here stole something they weren't supposed to. So I'm gonna ask this once before I get very violent. Who stole the core?
And Omera is going to look over, like sidelong, not turning their head at Aiden, and is going to very quickly, but ideally a nondescript movement, is going to shake their head as if to say, we are not going to say anything until we have to.
Well. It looks like someone here has grown a little bit of a backbone. I heard prison makes you tough, but I wasn't expecting this. Do you know, my lovely little pet, where the core is?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You see they get close again. Too close for comfort as they begin to sort of get in your face. I would warn you, witch, not to lie to me. Bad things happen when you lie to justice.
And as Bast is in my face, giving me the third degree at this point, I think Omera reaches into their pocket very slowly and carefully and holds one of the shavings of their shard and will pull it out of their pocket and will throw it to Aiden very quickly and will say, I know you can do something with that. And then we'll turn to Bast. And hopefully in that moment of distraction, Omera is just going to pull out from their tattoos a bunch of vines and is going to tackle Bast to the ground, trying to particularly pin like his wings down.
Fantastic. There's one thing I'm going to ask here for you before you try to inflict violence. I'm going to simply ask for an even or odd as you toss this to Aiden.
Odd.
Odd? Okay. Let me roll it real quick. What did I get here? Let's see. Did it roll? Oh, I got it. Is that a 1? Or is that me? I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. With that in mind, you can roll inflict violence as this is going on. So you were inflicting violence on someone. Roll 2d6. Do you wish they wish you harm? That's a +1. You're desperate. I think it's a +1. The other thing is it personal? That's the only thing.
In this case, I don't think. Not for Omera, no.
Okay. And then for my instance, you said odd, right?
I did.
Fantastic. With that, you see that for a moment they freeze up. You can see that they look at the shards for a moment, almost like in a sense of something internally is there, but they get past it and immediately shove it into their skin. Almost like if it was like a needle you inject. They kind of just puncture it into the skin, and you see a bit of power whelms up as their sort of leaner figure becomes a little bit more buff, as you see purple neon veins begin to usher in as they take one of the nearby guards and snap their back in half. As you see, they begin to sort of now quell Aiden. What did you get?
I got a 10.
A 10. You lose yourself in Raishu's fury. The GM will tell you the cost of your divinity. I think I'm going to hold the cost for a little bit towards the end of this, but for this moment here, what are you doing?
As I mentioned, Omera is going to pull out from their tattoos these long wrapping vines and wrap them around Bast's wings and tackle him to the ground, trying to grapple him. And I think the way in which Omera is kind of like lost in this righteous fury is that as Ray is doing so, again, those images are superimposing onto their mind of everything that the Empire has done wrong. And particularly, I think here, Omera remembers their brother, remembers Yakin, and the way that Bast in particular threatened him. And it is that desperation of not wanting this to go wrong, because if this goes wrong, they don't know what sort of fall damage is going to happen to Yakin. And so they push down and they hold Bast onto the ground. If possible, maybe even like breaking one of their wings.
With that, you... Ow! As you feel something snap on their back. But as you're doing this, you see Aiden is providing you cover, but you do hear from the guards up top, "Stop now, or we will open fire." As you see, even though you have them in a grasp, Aiden can provide you cover. There are still too many. As he said before, there was a reason why they are waiting. As you can see, they have not only the rifles, but at this moment, when you proved yourself to be a further danger, you see they have now pulled up the equivalent of like machine guns, but a little bit more of like a Lewis gun in a sense. Very much kind of the World War I vibe to it as they lock, load, and prepare. If you do not stop in this moment, everyone around here, even though they may not like you, will die.
Omera will stop and will very slowly disentangle the vines from Bast, and they will do as they're told for the moment, holding up their hands in a show of submission. And I think the way that I am rewarded in this moment is that no further violence occurs on the part of the guards. No shots are fired, no one is hurt, and they are allowing for this moment of supposed surrender to occur.
Fantastic. As you kind of let go, you see Aiden as well kind of has to... You see when they took the shards, they are not necessarily all there. There is something more maybe hulkish or more primal that is within them as they sort of... as they begin to shift back into normal form. They are subdued. And with it, as you let go, you see Baz go, "You stupid witch. they immediately take you by the head and just using their knee uppercut you in the face as you take another bit of strain here. Do you think you're some special hot piece of shit? You are not worth my heel. As you see, they kick you in the stomach at this point. They are going to continue to pummel, but before they get the chance, you see William kind of come out the corner. Hey, look, it's no, you don't have to hurt them, or Aiden, or any of them. It was me that stole it. As you see, he has the core in his hand.
The real core?
The real core.
And I think Omera is going to, like, from the ground, having been pummeled by Bast, is going to speak up and say, No, he's lying. It wasn't William. William has done nothing wrong.
You see, he looks at you, and I think in this moment there is one question we didn't ask, or answer in this instance. When you do as you're told, what vulnerability do you reveal? Bast understood. This is somebody, you probably, or just maybe tolerated you, but there's something deeper here. There's a friendship. Potentially a romance in the future, but for the moment, friendship, something close to kinship in this hell. He smiled. Bring them side by side, if you will, across from each other, if you be so kind, as they take you and they take William on the other side, as you two are kind of looking at each other from across the way. I got one person here who's telling me that they did it, and then I got another person here who said that they're lying. I think this is a fun little game. You, and he points to you, Omera, both of you were servants to the Empire, so with that in mind, you should know what the rules are, right? So I'm going to make a fun little game for you here. And depending on your answer, I may do it, I may not. Maybe do an random or whatever. You see he kneels as they grab you by your head and sort of make sure that you're staring at Bast. What is the punishment for someone who steals from the Empire?
Whatever the Empire dictates just.
No, that's too vague. That's not too vague. As you see, you gotta get close. I want specifics. Give me the details. What exactly did I do to a thief? Under the laws of my father.
Would you hurt them? Regardless of who they were? Would you take away their livelihood? Everything that they knew and held dear? Is that justice to you?
That's an idea, that's a thought. Why do we have something here? I think I get where you're going at. I like the brainstorming. The little poems here, very poetic. I think I have what you're going on here. What? So, final answer before I go ask your friend over there what he would think.
And Omera's no longer even talking to Bast anymore, but rather to the myriads of other prisoners that are in this area, as Ray answers. This God, who claims to be the only God, what blasphemous arrogance. This God pretends to be an archon of justice, but is not worthy of the name, and I think you can see that now. Perhaps you've always been able to see that, but now, especially, you can see what a facsimile of divinity this sad, pathetic, winged creature is. And I would like to challenge someone dangerous. Specifically, or you can say tempt fate, either one, but
I think you're
Omera,
challenging someone. Yeah.
Omera is trying to rile up Bast so that his attention is taken away and distracted from William and the core and put onto them instead. It's trying to goad Bast into fighting them and forgetting, like allowing William a chance to escape or do something.
Fantastic. When you're challenging someone, you say what foolish or risky action you hope they'll take and roll 2d6. I think at this moment there's 3 things here. They care about your opinion, really don't. They care. They think you're stronger than you. It's muddling. I don't think he thinks you're strong. I think I feel like in this moment he thinks you just got a lucky shot.
No. It says they think they're stronger than you. So I think Bast does think that he's...
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's correct there. So that is a +1, and then the crowd is on your side. They're prisoners, so hell yeah, they're on your side for the moment. Even though they don't like you, but this is worse. So you do get a +2 to this.
Oh, I got a 10. God damn it! The overkills, they're gonna kill me.
You push too far. Your target reacts instantly and dangerously. I see. Well, this is my response to that. As you see, pulls out one of his wings and immediately impales you in the chest with it. Pulls out, leaving you on the floor, still alive to watch, but unable to move or do anything as you bleed out. Now, I'm excited for this answer. As you see, pulls over to William. William, my boy. Now, not only did they insult a god, kill a god, but they also mended a god. As you see, the wing is slowly reshaping back. Now, what is the punishment for someone who dares assault a god, a divinity, one of the many exalted finest? You see, as you're bleeding out, focusing on the pain, William looks at you, understanding what this game is, and looks him dead in the eyes and goes, if anybody tried to kill me or hurt me, I'll kill them where they stand. Are you sure that's the final answer? You understand what you're saying here? Yeah, I understand. So why don't you fucking do it? You see, Grap puts his arm on his shoulder. You're a good man. It's a shame. And you see the wing go fast, sharp, and goes across William's neck. As it his body drops, and William bleeds out dry. As you are on the ground, you can kind of crawl, because that's all you can really do in this moment. But with that, you see him go, walking over towards you, Omera, as you're still kind of bleeding out in pain. I hope we learned a valuable lesson today, witch.
And Omera, I think gurgling a little bit of blood coming out of their mouth as they did, kind of like yelled out when William was decapitated and said, "This is not justice. The gods are not just. I will show you justice." And is going to immediately, like the claws of Wolverine, pull out sharp thorns from their knuckles that are imbued with this purple light, the light of the divinity that is locked within their chest, and is going to, I think, take a stab, like uppercut style, at Bast.
Fantastic. And I think for this instance here, you do expose a hidden cruelty, lie, or manipulation of the gods. So your divine trigger activates, and I will give you one last move here. Unleash your divinity. When you unleash your awakened divinity, describe how your godhood surges forth as you exert your will upon reality. You accomplish a single brilliant feat with one side effect of your choice. It is brief, it is obvious, it is unstable. Afterwards, your divinity is going to die down. So what are you doing in this instance? He is close enough for you to strike, whether if you want to maybe kill, definitely maim, if you want something to give him to remember you by. But in this instance, I'll leave it to you and what you wish to choose.
In this moment, Omera wants to show everybody the terrible cruelty of the gods. And that is their singular aim. And so with these large spikes, I think they grow taller and bigger, almost like pillars that are emerging from Omera's body itself that impale Bast on them. I think one on each wing and one straight through the chest, straight through the heart, as Bast is impaled on these roots, on this vine. And Omera struggles to stand up, still hurt, and will walk towards Bast as this terribly impossible, pulsating root forms on the ground, and is going to walk over to Bast, who is still alive, but only barely just, and will say, "The gods are not just. The gods are not merciful. But we, as people, as mortals, can be. Don't ever underestimate us, ever again." And I think with that, the pillars are dismissed because this brief display of divinity is taken down and removed. Bast falls to the ground, crumpling, perhaps if gods bleeding out from the different wounds. And Omera chooses to wound Bast. Hopefully not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well, but will choose to spare him.
I think for this instance, it does kind of count, because you are sparing him. In this moment, there is one last move. Spare a god. When you confront a god in their kind of truish form, I'll say kind of, in this moment, you did kind of pull them out into their actual form in this moment. As you see, there was a little bit more of bronze skin representing that of like justice in its true form, iron fort and hard steel and swift. In this moment, you get to roll a 2d6 just straight. Let's see what you get here.
I got an 8.
Got an 8, got another hit. They perform a single favor of your choosing, such as lifting a curse or performing a miracle. And I think in this instance, they will save it, as they are too angry at this moment. And I think the miracle that does happen here is that you see a guard almost gets close to you as you're bleeding, puts a rifle between your head, as they're almost about to pull the trigger and blow your brains out, before he goes, "Wait. Let them live. Because if they live, it'll be worse. You may have saved me today, but now you are never getting out of here. You will die in this hole just like your friend. No, you idiots! Get me to the med bay." As they pull their god back, as you narrowly dodge a bullet to the head. With that, Aiden kind of takes you to the side. I'm sorry.
And Omera doesn't know what to say or what to do. And so they just let Aiden speak, be here, whatever it is that he wants to do.
I don't think he speaks. He understands your pain, but I think the thing that you notice is that all the prisoners around you, one of them gets close enough, thinking you're thinking, they're gonna do something again to you. But they simply just pat you on the back. And then the next one comes. And the next one. As you see all these prisoners pat you on the back. As a sense of condolence, but also as a signal that you are one of them. Aiden kind of goes, why don't you bunk with me and the rest of the crew here down in W?
And Omera nods silently and allows themselves to be directed towards that bunk. Wanting first, of course, to go and grab their things from their own bunk and some of William's as well.
You pack it up, and as you are kind of at that doorstep of leaving, I think in your mind it clicks. If you don't get out of here soon, you'll end up just like William. And that is where we shall end it for tonight. Yay! Thank you everyone for joining us for this special episode of Forsaken. With that in mind, we're going to do a little reverse order here as we will do the sweet plugs. So with that, Godkiller, take it away.
Oh, you said reverse order. Sorry, I thought you were going to come.
I thought...
Cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hamna. I use any and all pronouns, and I am a TTRPG performer and producer. Today I have been Omera, who uses they, Ray pronouns, our god killer, our sad, terrible god killer, who's realizing that Empire is bad, perhaps, maybe a little bit. If you like my work and want to follow more of it, right now there is a podcast coming out that I am on called The Ties That Bind. It is wherever you pod your casts. It is a wonderful 10-episode series of The Corrupted, which is designed by Navarre Seek Jackson, a game about the apocalypse and people trying to survive within it. I play a differently awful but trying their best character in that series. So you should definitely go check it out. Only 2 episodes are out right now, so you're not really far behind. And with that, I will pass things over to Chris.
It's me, God, the one who's causing all the problems. My name is Chris, and I was your God for this series and the foreseeable future of it. With that, you can catch me on Twitter while it's still alive at @VO_Cologne. That's COLON. As always, this will be posted to the YouTube for Taíno Tales, so you can check that out there. In terms of what I'm doing, again, always, every Thursday is going to be this, Forsaken. But next week, we will be starting the premiere over on Badhouse RPG of an all-Latin werewolf game set within its universe. It's going to be a fun time. There's going to be robberies, there's going to be motorcycle gangs, and of course, there's going to be werewolves. So if you're in for drama, come check us out. But with all that in mind, we hope you had a lovely time, and we can't wait to see you next week. But until then, have a lovely evening, everyone. Bye-bye.